Story 1. Free entry to all state-owned museums is one thing I love about Ireland. You can just stroll into the National Gallery or National History Museum on your lunch break or whenever, for free. Story 2. In Argentina, when a child is found lost on any crowded beach, people around them will start to clap their hands, seeking to attract attention so the family will notice and go get the kid. Everybody is aware of the situation and keeps an eye on the child until they are happily reunited with their family. Story 3. I think this actually came from Sweden, but we have an app in Denmark that's called Heart Runner. And what happens is if you take a CPR class, you register as certified on the app. Then if someone calls for a heart attack, the app pings a certain number of people in the direct vicinity. Your phone starts blasting an emergency signal. And then you decide if you're in a place where you can safely take the mission. If you accept, you will either be directly routed to the person to perform CPR or routed to an AED and then to the person. If you respond to the alert, the next day you will also get a follow-up text asking if you're okay or if you want to talk to someone about what happened. I was called once and able to accept, and it was amazing, horrific, and wonderful. I was able to grab an AED, and when I got there, 7 minutes after the call went out, I was the third AED to arrive, and someone was actively performing CPR. All the extra people who came were helping all the people who were there and directing the ambulance when it arrived. I don't know what happened to the person, but seeing all these people coming from every direction and running as fast as possible on a Friday night just really restored all hope in humanity. Also, they've done a lot of research on the calls and determined that it 100% is saving lives. It's really amazing. Story 4. Queuing. Having traveled the world a decent amount, I love coming back to the United Kingdom where we wait for our turn. Japan was the best place I've been to for this and good manners overall. Story 5. Free public pools. There's nothing like grabbing your child at the daycare after work and ending the day enjoying the nice summer evenings at the pool. You meet the whole neighborhood there and just enjoy life. Could you do it if you had to pay entry each time? Yes. Would you do it? No. Story 6. Sager Proper Town festivals, lasting a few days, with amusement attractions and real traditional food. The kind you can't find in restaurants, and fun stands and charity lotteries. Story 7. My wife and I had a Chinese wedding where guests brought red envelopes of money instead of gifts. It was so nice to start our marriage with no debt. Through the years, we have paid back some of the money as former guests and their families have also gotten married. Story 8. Allemansratten, or the freedom to roam. Take care of the environment, leave it as you found it, and go wherever you please without having to worry about invading private property. Story 9. I've watched a lot of Rick Steves, but the concept of passeggiata is one I wish we had here in the United States, especially as someone who likes to walk at night, but doesn't because being a woman and walking at night doesn't mix. However, I like the thought of people leisurely strolling the main strip at night. Interesting and fun. Story 10. Zero tolerance against domestic abuse. In Spain, if you yell at or manhandle your spouse in public, everybody around will intervene, and the police will be called. In Poland, I've seen people intervene even when a drunk tourist was annoying a girl and, while not doing anything illegal, he was making her uncomfortable. But as a tourist in a country I won't mention, a guy was choking a girl, and no one did anything. My French ex and I were horrified and not knowing what to do, because we were in a foreign country and unfamiliar with local customs. If we had intervened, we had no way of knowing if the police would find us in the right. Story 11. Jokaisen Oikeudet. The rights of all. Walk freely, or even make camp in most areas, and forage for wild berries and mushrooms. As long as you don't do damage to your surroundings, you're good to go. Fishing is also included, unless that particular water has a protected species. I don't fish, so I'm not as clear on the exception rules on that one. Story 12. Taiwan's trash doesn't touch the ground system. Basically, instead of holding onto your trash or recycling until a specific trash day and remembering to wheel the bins out, a truck goes around to set points each day and plays a jaunty, ice cream truck-esque song so you know it's time to toss the trash. There's also a phone app. Not only does this make composting and recycling a breeze since there's a separate bin for food scraps where you can just dump your vegetable peels from a meal into, and there are people to help you sort recycling out, but also Taiwan has one of the highest recycling and lowest waste rates in the world. Moreover, it's really nice to just catch up with your neighbors while you wait for the truck to come around. Also, the cities are super clean despite there being like 0 trash cans, which is pretty neat. Story 13. From Australia, I would say the concept of the long lunch where people take a relaxed, multi-hour meal to connect and enjoy each other's company is significant. It fosters meaningful conversations and a slower, more mindful approach to life that the world could benefit from. Story 14. Japan, onsens, and a culture of reasonably priced vending machines selling a range of delicious hot and cold drinks. Finland, saunas, and the approach of enjoy the nature we have, and don't be stupid about it. United Kingdom, museums and galleries funded by the government so they can allow free entry. Georgia, when 3 people get together, they just have to start singing, which is really fun. Not 2, you need 3 for a proper polyphonic sing-along. Story 15. In South Africa, we have something called Ubuntu. Literally, it means, I am because you are. In practice, it means doing for others not because you have to, but because you want to, and it is good for the community as a whole. Story 16. Wearing a face mask when you are sick and in public is a consideration for others. Even if it is not COVID-19, I would rather not get sick and have to use paid time off to recover or work 8 hours while sick. Story 17. Everyone gets a cup of tea. Lost your pet? Husband's a rake? Financial troubles? Just need to chat? Sure, a cup of tea will fix all. Ireland. Not where I currently live though. Story 18. Direct communication. The American style of sugarcoating and being as non-confrontational as possible is wasting everybody's time. Source. I am Nordic, working with a few Americans, and it's frustrating. Story 19. Where I was born, public toilets are generally graffiti-free and clean because people don't randomly vandalize or trash them. And building owners often hire someone whose only job is to clean the toilets all day, so they're rarely left uncleaned and unattended for too long. There is an unwritten rule that clean public toilets are a status symbol of the building itself. Having a badly maintained one can almost be a stain on the building's reputation. Story 20. Sobremesa from Spain. To spend some time after finishing your lunch with whoever you were eating with, having coffee or a drink, chatting with each other, singing, this is mainly in the South, sometimes even playing a board game. Sobremesa with friends or family is the best. Story 21. I think the world should definitely adopt the tradition of pretending to enjoy awkward small talk with distant relatives during every major holiday. Nothing brings people closer than forced conversations and the constant reminder of how much you don't have in common. Story 22. I am from Finland. I think other countries should also start giving out baby boxes. And you should also have saunas in every house, but this should have gone without saying. Story 23. Not my country, but picking up your trash and taking it with you is the norm. Japan is one of the cleanest countries I have visited, despite not having public trash cans. Story 24. Helping people who appear to be in danger is something I hold in high regard. I am from the Czech Republic, and I've been assisted by complete strangers on multiple occasions. People here rarely just walk past and ignore you, unlike in other countries. They stand up for you, contact the police, or simply stay by your side to offer whatever help they can. They protect others. While my country has many flaws, the way its residents stand up for complete strangers is something of which I am proud. Story 25. Can I nominate something from another country? French food culture. I am from the United States, but even my European friends are in awe of French food culture. The food we got at our university cafeteria in Vichy, France, was delicious and varied in a way that this American had never seen. 5-course meals for university students that were cheap, simple, and healthy. Everyone should be so lucky. Story 26. We do our best to take care of not just our family, but our entire tribe, even when they've hit rock bottom. This goes double for anyone who is an elder. Story 27. The concept of a national park is one of the few ideas the United States came up with that is worth encouraging other countries to adopt, and many have since Yellowstone was created. Story 28. This isn't solely a British cultural practice, but it's something Americans should definitely adopt, in my humble opinion. Taking shoes off indoors. Unless you have a disability, there is no reason to wear outside shoes indoors. I know not all Americans do this, but far too many do, and it's just unhinged and gross. The only time I can see this sort of thing being appropriate is in countries where the standard of living is lower, so inside floors differ less from outside floors and aren't really clean or suitable for being barefoot. If you live in a developed country and have a relatively high standard of living, you should be taking your shoes off inside. Story 29. Instead of being ashamed or feeling weird about offering help, you should be ashamed or shamed by the neighbors if you see them struggle, or there is some small thing that they have to do, but you could. My neighbors, where I now live, not where I am from, asked me why I had put their trash out. "We can do that ourselves," was the reaction, instead of just saying thanks. We live in a house with multiple parties, and every month the next one on the list has to do it. I started to do it for an older lady or when someone is away on vacation. One day I was in the mood, had time, thought of it while I stood next to the trash cans, and just put them out so they wouldn't have to do it. Such a reaction leaves me speechless. Or a neighbor was working on his stairs. I could see him every day, but when I asked, he was kind of weird. I had the feeling that he made fun of me about that. Where I come from, if you watch your neighbor work on whatever and you don't show up and offer help, that's what people will make fun of or shame you for. Just one example. Story 30. Dia de Muertos. I really appreciate the close relationship we have with the concept of mortality in Mexico, and it also allows us to have our grief in small doses. In our culture, death is not something painted so terrible. Story 31. A holiday in Denmark for kids is called fastelavn, and it's somewhat similar to Halloween. However, a notable difference is that all the kids dress up in funny costumes that are not intended to be scary, like a princess or something of that sort. Then, all the children line up to hit a barrel hanging from the ceiling, which is filled with candy. The first boy and girl to break the barrel are crowned and given the titles of Cat King and Cat Queen, respectively. Story 32. This isn't my country, but I noticed when I went to London that people with non-visible disabilities had a special sunflower lanyard they could wear around their necks so people could offer them seats on the tube. I haven't seen anything like that in the United States yet, but I hope it catches on soon. Story 33. I am not a religious person, but if you are going to be a religious person, be religious like a black Southern Baptist. It's fun, really fun. Every Sunday is like a family get-together at church. And the music, the one thing I miss from my religious upbringing. The way a Southern Baptist choir sings will convince you of a higher power. But yeah, still not a fan of religion as a guiding light for how to live my life. Story 34. Sauna. I mean a real sauna, not some warm room where you go to read a newspaper or watch Netflix. A true Finnish sauna, 80 degrees Celsius, lots of loili, dipping into a lake, and then going back to the sauna. Story 35. Working part-time and mostly strict 8-hour workdays. Also, 5 weeks of paid vacation. You can take 3 weeks back-to-back during the summer. The Netherlands. Story 36. When driving and you accidentally cut someone off, a hand gesture of apology with the tips of all fingers of a hand held together pointed upwards can be effective. This gesture can also serve as a thank you if someone allows you into traffic. It really lowers tension while driving and lessens road rage. Story 37. In Denmark, if you pass by a house with lots of Danish flags outside, they're not signaling their political leanings or that they're especially patriotic. It's simply someone's birthday, and we celebrate with lots of flags, cake, and hot cocoa if appropriate, etc. People will put tiny little flags in the cake and the buns and whatever else is served. Here's a picture from some inn, and they not only place the cake with tiny flags, but the candles they also put in the cake have flags printed on them. Story 38. German emergency lane. All cars move to the side of the road when there's a traffic jam, so an ambulance or police can pass quickly and easily in case there's an accident. Story 39. 4 months of maternity leave. Paid. The husband has 15 days also paid. Free public drug and alcohol rehabilitation and addiction recovery services are available. If you are caught using drugs by the police, this is where they will send you. Selling drugs, though, that is another story. Story 40. The world should definitely adopt India's tradition of Namaste, greeting with a bow and hands pressed together. It is a simple yet profound gesture of respect, acknowledging the divine in everyone. Plus, it is a perfect no-contact greeting. Story 41. I am originally from the United States but have been living in Korea for the past 15 years. One tradition or custom I think the United States should adopt is giving money to couples at weddings instead of household items. That way, the couple can spend the money on things they need or want without having 10 blenders and 5 sets of the same cutlery. It is customary to give around $100, but you can give more if you are closer to the couple. Story 42. Social openness, like in Argentina, involves being friendly and receptive to talk and engage with people, even if you just met them. It also includes being fine with physical affection, like cheek kisses and hugs. Sometimes it still baffles me how cold, distant, and generally unapproachable foreigners, particularly Northern Europeans and East Asians, can be.